If you drove on a UK road today and you did not know about what changed on April 17th, you may have already broken the law without realizing it. Not a minor technicality, not a small administrative update buried in government paperwork. A real enforceable change to UK road law that police, traffic enforcement officers, and insurance companies are fully aware of right now, today, as you watch this video. And the silence around it is staggering. Most drivers have heard nothing. Most people behind the wheel this morning had absolutely no idea that the legal landscape they were driving through had shifted beneath their feet. But ignorance of the law is not a defense in a UK court. It never has been. And the consequences of being caught on the wrong side of these changes range from fixed penalty notices to points on your license, to insurance complications that can haunt you for years. Welcome to How to Get a UK Driving License, Step by Step, the channel that exists for one reason and one reason only, to make sure that every driver, every learner, and every road user in the United Kingdom is never blindsided by the laws, the rules, and the changes that the system rarely takes the time to explain clearly. If you are not subscribed yet, please do it right now, because this is exactly the kind of video that proves why this channel matters. We cover the updates, the regulations, the licensing rules, and the road law changes that you need to know before they become problems you cannot undo. Now, let's talk about what changed on April 17th and what it means for every single person driving on UK roads today. The first thing you need to understand is that UK road law is not static. It evolves, it shifts, and in recent years, the pace of that evolution has accelerated dramatically. The rise of electric vehicles, the explosion of e-scooters and e-bikes, the transformation of how people use roads in urban environments, the post-pandemic restructuring of transport infrastructure, all of it has forced legislators, the DVLA, and the Department for Transport to update, revise, and introduce rules at a speed that the average driver simply cannot keep up with through ordinary daily life. April 17th marks a significant date in that ongoing evolution, and the changes coming into effect carry real, immediate consequences for drivers who are unaware. Let's start with mobile phone laws, because this is where the April 17th changes land with the most immediate and widespread impact. The UK already tightened its hands-free laws significantly in 2022, but what many drivers still do not fully grasp is the breadth of what is now illegal behind the wheel. It is not simply about making calls or sending texts, using your phone to scroll through music, check a map, interact with any app, take a photograph, or even hold the device while stationary in traffic. All of it falls under the umbrella of illegal phone use while driving. The updated enforcement guidance being applied from April 17th means police officers have clearer, stronger authority to issue fixed penalty notices on the spot, with the standard penalty sitting at 6 points on your license and a $200 fine. For new drivers, those within the first 2 years of passing their test, 6 points means an automatic license revocation. You lose your license. You go back to zero. You reapply as a learner. The phone in your hand for 30 seconds can erase everything you worked for to get that license in the first place. But that is just the beginning. Because April 17th also brings sharper attention to the rules surrounding dash cams, in-car cameras, and the increasingly blurred line between what constitutes distracted driving and what constitutes lawful use of vehicle-mounted technology. Dash cams themselves remain legal, but interacting with them while driving, adjusting their settings, reviewing footage, or touching the device in any way while the vehicle is in motion now falls under the same distraction laws that govern phone use. If your dash cam is mounted in a position that partially obscures your view of the road, you are also now looking at potential penalties under updated obstruction guidelines. This is not something most dashcam users have been warned about. It is not something that gets discussed in showrooms when the devices are sold, but it is enforceable law as of today. Now let's talk about something that affects a much wider group of road users than most people expect: the updated rules surrounding driving licenses themselves and specifically the medical conditions and age-related requirements that feed directly into whether your license is valid on any given day. The DVLA has strict requirements about notifiable medical conditions, conditions that drivers are legally obligated to declare and which can affect the validity of a license without the driver ever receiving a formal letter or notification. Conditions including sleep apnea, certain heart conditions, epilepsy, insulin-treated diabetes, and a range of neurological and visual impairments are all subject to mandatory reporting rules. What changed in the April 17th updates is the enforcement mechanism. Specifically, the way insurance companies and the Motor Insurance Bureau cross-reference DVLA data to identify policies held by drivers with undisclosed conditions. If you are involved in an accident and it emerges that you had a notifiable condition you did not declare to the DVLA, your insurance policy can be rendered entirely void, not partially, entirely. You become an uninsured driver after the fact, with every financial and legal consequence that carries. Let's slow down and talk about learner drivers and provisional license holders specifically, because the April 17th changes carry a distinct and serious warning for this group. The rules around supervised driving, motorway lessons, and the use of vehicles during the learning period have been tightened in response to a pattern of incidents involving learners driving outside the conditions of their provisional license. Learner drivers in the UK are permitted to drive on motorways, but only when accompanied by an approved driving instructor in a vehicle fitted with dual controls. Driving on a motorway with a supervising friend or family member, even one who holds a full license, is illegal for learner drivers. It has always been illegal. But enforcement of this rule is intensifying, and the consequences now extend beyond the learner themselves. The supervising driver can also face penalties for permitting an unlicensed motorway drive. Both parties. One decision, two sets of consequences. And then there is the electric vehicle dimension. Because no discussion of UK road law changes in 2025 and beyond is complete without addressing the rapidly evolving rules around EV charging, EV lane access, and the licensing requirements that are quietly creeping into electric vehicle operation in ways that most people do not yet realize exist. The use of certain private e-scooters on public roads remains illegal in the UK outside of formal government trials. Yet the number of privately owned e-scooters being ridden on roads and pavements has not decreased. It has increased. April 17th. Enforcement guidance gives police and local authorities expanded powers to seize e-scooters being used illegally on public roads, and the seizure process under updated guidelines has been streamlined to require significantly less administrative process than before. If you own a private e-scooter and you are riding it on a public road, you are riding without insurance, without a valid license category covering that vehicle, and without any legal protection in the event of an accident. The law has not softened on this. It has hardened. Here is the piece of this picture that ties everything together and that every UK driver, learner, and road user needs to carry with them from this moment forward. Every single one of these changes, the phone laws, the dash cam rules, the medical condition reporting, the learner driver restrictions, the e-scooter enforcement, feeds directly into one overarching truth about driving in the United Kingdom in 2025. The days of road law being a static, once-learned body of knowledge are over. Passing your driving test does not mean you are informed for life. The highway code has been updated. Enforcement priorities have shifted. New vehicle categories have entered the roads. Digital technology has created legal gray areas that did not exist a decade ago, and the burden of staying informed falls entirely on you, the driver. Not on the DVLA to send you letters. Not on the government to run television campaigns. On you. This is not a scare tactic. This is the reality of driving legally and responsibly in a country where the roads, the vehicles, and the laws governing them are all changing simultaneously and at speed. The drivers who stay ahead of these changes are the ones who keep their licenses clean, their insurance valid, their no-claims bonuses intact, and their records free from the kind of marks that follow you through every renewal, every policy application, and every background check for years to come. The drivers who stay behind, who assume that what they knew when they passed their test is still sufficient, are the ones who get caught, get fined, get points, and get the kind of wake-up call that costs far more than a few minutes of staying informed ever would have. So here is what you do right now. Share this video with every driver you know, every friend, every family member, every new driver who just got their license and thinks the learning is over. Because the learning is never over. Subscribe to How to Get a UK Driving License, step by step if you have not already, because we are the channel that stays on top of these changes so that you don't have to find out about them the hard way on the side of a road with blue lights in your mirror. Drop a comment below and tell us, did you know about the April 17th changes before today? We read every single one. Stay legal, stay protected, stay informed, and we will see you in the next one.